Hi everyone, I'm Nihal, and today I'll be presenting a novel artificial intelligence software that can learn how to diagnose mental illness all from scratch. So we can see here that the model is asking us of what we want to check for. In this case, it will be mental illness due to stress. Due to stress. And now it's asking for some of my demographics. So the reason why it asks for this is that it wants to find the closest data set it can to my demographics so that it can get the best data to then train the best model on to match my specific circumstances. So let's say I'm a white male that's 30 years old and am recently unemployed. Okay. There we go. So now what it will do is search the internet, go to Kaggle.com, which is a popular machine learning website, and then it can see that there's one potential data set that would fit this specific use case. So now what it will do is go to this data set all by itself. And again, we can see that this entire right screen, this entire Chrome window, is being controlled by this test software. So what it'll do now is go to that data set, download the data set, and then train its own machine learning model on that data set to then match my specific scenario. So there we go. Now we're at the data set, and now the next step for the software is to actually download the data set. So there we go. And so now the software should be downloading the data set. So let's wait for that to be completed. Alright, so it looks like it has downloaded the dataset completely. And so now what it will do is spend the next 4 minutes just processing the dataset so that it can use it in the next step. So we can see here that the dataset from Kaggle is now on my project directory. Okay, so as we can see, the software is completely finished with processing its data. Now the next step will be making the machine learning model that will have the highest accuracy. And so that's estimated to take around 12 minutes. So let's wait for that to happen. Okay, great. So as we can see here, it looks like the model is generated and that it has an accuracy of 93.5%, which is pretty decent. And so now what we can do is actually test this model in predicting whether or not whether or not the user has a mental illness. So now it just asks us to answer all of these questions as honestly as possible. I'm currently employed, at least part-time. Let's try to create a scenario where the user is very obviously under a mental illness, or like it seems obvious that the user has a mental illness. So let's say the person isn't currently employed, has no education, does have a computer, is legally disabled, does have regular access to the internet. Yeah, does live with parents, does have a gap in the resume. Say like 6 months. 6. Annual income, let's say that was like just 10,000. And yeah, unemployed. I read outside of work and school. Nope. Annual income for social welfare, 10,000. I receive food stamps. Let's say yes. Section 8 housing, yes. Lack of concentration, yes. Anxiety, depression, excessive thinking, mood swings, panic attacks, compulsive behavior, tiredness, age, let's say 30. Male for gender, household income, let's say like 30,000. Region, we can say South Atlantic. And device type, we can say Android / tablet. Alright, so there we go. Now the model is going to predict whether or not I have a mental illness. So let's see this. So yeah, So now the model says that there's a high probability that I have a mental health illness, potentially due to a high stress environment, and then asks for additional information. And so if I just type in yes here, what it will do now is search up ways that it can sort of treat my mental health illness. So right now what it's doing is that it's going through various websites, it's seeing how it can, and it's extracting all this textual information from these websites in order to come up with ways that the software can improve my mental health. So yeah, we can just see it going through various websites here, and so that's what it's doing right now. And it's just extracting all this textual information, putting it into another machine learning model, and then extracting the important parts of it. And so once this process is done, it will just give me like a bunch of ways that I can improve my mental health. So let's look at that. All right, so there we go. So this is what it has come up with. So now it has pretty much given us information on how to help my mental health issues. So it says to pay attention to warning signs, work with a doctor or therapist, consider involving family members or friends, and it keeps on. It gives me like a short 6 to 7 tips, as well as gives me important links that I can check out by myself in order to improve my insight on this serious issue. And so by doing this, it has given me like a quick run through of some ways that I can help myself, and then also more resources in order to look at it on my own time. And it then asks me if I want to check for something else. And so if I want to do that, I can just run this entire program again, and then check for another mental health issue with another demographic. So like let's say that I was like a student instead. Like let's say that I was a college student, right? Then I would put that into my initial demographics, and then the model would train off a different data set, and then come up with another model, and then come up with specific ways to look at my mental health with my given demographics.